For more than 5 decades, Ambassador James Victor Gbeho's career rendered distinguished service to Ghana, Africa, and the international community. He belonged to a remarkable generation of public servants who understood that diplomacy demands firmness without hostility, friendship with wisdom, and an enduring commitment to dialogue, justice, multilateralism, and the peaceful settlement of disputes. He was one of Ghana's most accomplished diplomats. Beyond that, he was a revered statesman, a trusted source of counsel, and an inspiring embodiment of the finest traditions of Ghana's public service. I am extremely grateful I had the opportunity to learn from him. Following my nomination as Minister for Foreign Affairs by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, he was one of the first senior statesmen I sought out. Even at the age of 90, he was as sharp as ever, and his grasp of Ghana and Africa's strategic interests in the current complicated geopolitical context remained unsurprisingly astute. In all our interactions, he spoke with characteristic wisdom about the strategic conduct of foreign policy and the imperative of advancing our interests with integrity and clarity. I am glad that the ministry had the opportunity to honor him in December last year, along with 4 of his colleagues, for their remarkable contribution to the country's diplomacy and foreign policy. In April this year, Ambassador Gbeho was hospitalized. I recall vividly how sharp he was when I visited him at the hospital. He remained hopeful that he will recover so we could continue our discussions on matters of national interest. Such was Ambassador Gbeho's devotion to Ghana, steadfast until the very end, and always ready to place his experience at the service of the Republic. Ambassador Gbeho was a true son of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He joined the Ghana Foreign and Commonwealth Service in 1959, only 2 years after independence, advancing through its professional and administrative ranks. He remains the only foreign minister in our history to have risen from the level of a junior career officer through the successive responsibilities of director, chief director, ambassador, permanent representative, and deputy minister, before ultimately serving as Minister for Foreign Affairs. His public service later extended to advising President John Mills on foreign policy and leading the Economic Community on West African States Commission as its president. Ambassador Gbeho arrived at the summit of Ghanaian and international diplomacy through a lifetime of discipline, learning, and distinguished service. His remarkable progression reflected merit, institutional knowledge, and proven competence. He did not merely lead the ministry, he understood its work from the ground up and carried its finest traditions into every office he occupied. On the global stage, Ambassador Gbeho demonstrated that a nation's influence is determined not only by its size, but by the quality, consistency, and integrity of its representation. From helping to establish Ghana's diplomatic presence in China, to assignments in New Delhi, Lagos, Bonn, London, and Geneva, he carried our national interests with distinction across the principal theaters of international diplomacy. He went on to spend a decade as Ghana's permanent representative to the United Nations in New York, where he presided over the United Nations Security Council during Ghana's rotational presidencies in May 1986 and September 1987. He also provided principled leadership in the international campaign against apartheid and colonial domination, reinforcing Ghana's historic commitment to African liberation and human dignity. At the height of the Cold War, he navigated deep ideological divisions